All right, now that we got everything snugged down, give it a little test hit real quick.
Yeah. Mr. Everything's the name. Can't do change in the game. Doing my thing in my own lane. Every time you see me, I'm hitting them switches. Sliding through with something super vicious. Who is this? Mr. Everything's the name. Can't do change in the game. Doing my thing in my own lane. Every time you see me, I'm hitting them switches. Sliding through with something super vicious. Who is this?
What's going on, everybody? It's Mr. Everything, bringing y'all low riders and horsepower, you dig? Rain, sleet, hail, snow, or shine, nothing, and no one stops the grind. Not even the haters on the sidelines. Today, in the low rider, just giving this some needed attention, you know what I'm saying? Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have, thank you very kindly, you know what I'm saying? Today, about to tell y'all about some low rider safety. I don't really see too many people talking about it, so I'm gonna address it today. Because every time I get in this thing, not only is it like a roller coaster as far as it being fun and everything like that, but it's also a roller coaster of sometimes disaster, you know what I mean? So what I'm gonna do is just go over some quick things that y'all need to know to be safe and to check for before you actually hop in the low rider to go up the road and cruise it. So just rock with me. Alright, kind of dusty back here. It's time that I clean up these batteries and everything. I think I'm gonna do that today. But not just from a safety standpoint, but then again, you might catch something that's unsafe. You look around, make sure that everything is nice and tightened together. Right now I'm charging up the batteries in here, so some of the stuff is unhooked, but you got to make sure that all your batteries is hooked up just right. You don't even want to tap the switch and things aren't hooked up properly. You want to make sure that you ain't got nothing else disconnected. You know, sometimes things come loose on the low rider. So you want to start, you can start anywhere, but I'm just starting back here. So the batteries are charged up, the ones that I hooked up so far. Shows that they are charged, which is always a good sign. Then we move on. Alright, wheels. Now, these things is on tight because I didn't check them. But when I first got this thing, they weren't so tight. It wasn't this one, but the other side that spun off on me while I was leaving the car show. And it got loose on the way to the car show, and I made it there. But you need to make sure that you take a lead hammer and hit them knockoffs on extra tight so they don't come off on you, because it's not going to be a joke and it ain't going to be pretty. And I was pretty fortunate that when that happened, I was still intact and the low rider was still intact, but I just needed to replace everything on that side. So I got to clean this rim up too, because man, look at this. That dirt, yeah, I'm gonna have to take the wire brush, yeah, and hit that real good, cause it's time. So, alright, now it's bootleg, but I'm gonna switch it up some. Make sure your battery is snug down. Now this thing here is old, and that thing just spin when you try to untighten it. You know, it kind of holds the battery down in place, but I made my own little contraption. So when I hit the switch, the battery does stay in place. It's just my little rig, you know, that I rigged up, my little, you know, job. But hey, it stays in there, because without this thing being strapped down and you hit the switch and you pop the hood, the battery be somewhere, you know, where you don't want it to be. Now, I forgot, but I gotta still get a new one of these oil caps on there. Want to make sure everything is tight. Like last time I had this, I made it down the road. This is a couple weeks ago, because I haven't started this thing in about a week, which I need to do today. And this was off last time, the cap to the reservoir, and a whole bunch of oil and everything. Brake fluid got all over. So I'm gonna still try to put some degreaser on and run this thing But you just always want to be careful and make sure that everything is intact before you hit down the road, because being in the lowrider, everything shakes and rattles up in here. You know what I'm saying? You even want to make sure that your hood is properly latched down, because you don't want that thing popping up while you're driving. Even though this thing has not been on the road since I replaced that bolt on the right going into the 4-link, I'm still just putting the camera back there to make sure that that thing ain't moved no kind of way and nothing then, you know, came undone. So it's still on. You want to make sure you got your cylinders. Ain't nothing leaking real bad. It just really need to be cleaned up back here because it's dusty, and so I'm gonna have to run the greaser and everything back here. It's time, as y'all look. But that's just really what I'm doing, is just going through, doing a light safety check, making sure that everything is good for me to throw the lowrider back on the road. One other thing I forgot is that when you're back here, make sure that you got enough fluid in all your tanks. Even if you got new seals in your cylinders, or brand new cylinders, which also, you know, have brand new seals in them, you still will lose a little bit of oil from the cylinders going up and down all the time. You know, it blocks most of the oil, but you'll still have some. So over time, you'll have some oil that you need to replace. But just make sure you got oil, because you need enough, so when you're hitting the switches, you're not taxing the pumps and stuff too hard, and they're not getting too hot because of not having enough oil. And then also, you won't your switches won't be going up right if you don't got enough oil. They'll be making loud, you'll be hearing loud noises coming from the pumps when there's not enough oil. So that's another thing. All right, now that we got everything snug down, give it a little test hit real quick. Just a little. You ain't going crazy today because I still got work to do. Like everything hidden. Everything hidden. And right now I'm taking time to shoot some degreaser all over, because I had an oil leak from the brakes, the reservoir cap. So I want to make sure that I'm cleaning everything off, because I want to know if there is some oil getting away from me. I want to know where it's coming from. So that's what we're gonna start. When you got a leak, you gotta start phasing out spots. So that's typically what you do first, and I do a little bit under the hood as well. Shot it up here as well. I'll do the other side, but I'm just showing y'all now, shooting this side up real good, because that's where the smoking was coming from, you know. So now you could wipe off a lot of stuff by hand, but typically what you do is, once you get everything sprayed down real quick, you go ahead and start the vehicle up, and that's how you do it. So that's where it's at right now. And this is another thing that's got to be addressed. Don't need to put a new starter up on this thing. Been needing one for the longest, but never really drove it that much, so never really cared. But that's gonna be another thing that'll be attacked. That's the thing about being raised around them old men, though. They still teach you them tricks to get it started. Like, you know, you can still jump it and get it started. It's been a whole week since I started this thing, so. We got it running now. Put a little bit extra on there. Just gonna let it heat up now. And hopefully it was just a little bit of that brake fluid that got on the manifold, and that's it. I mean, it's a Lowrider and it's old on top of that, so you know you got a little bit of oil always leaking from somewhere, but nothing major, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep letting it run, you know. I'll keep y'all updated. Ooh, she looking good. You know, she ain't perfect, but she perfect for me, you dig? No, might as well hit this side up too. Kind of dry over here, but it ain't gonna hurt. This thing needs some cleaning for real. Uh-oh, getting low. Still gotta do the back, but that's on another day. And oh yeah, one thing I didn't say, always have either some water or a fire extinguisher in your Lowrider. Now, we ain't gonna say what the worst things what the worst things are that could happen, because we already know. We ain't gonna speak that, but we always keep some water. One, if you get thirsty. Two, if a disaster happens. And then, you know, that's the reason why you want to have either some water or a fire extinguisher. And I do want to get like a fire extinguisher for this thing too, but I keep some water, you dig? Alright, so that's the end of this video. Got the engine degreaser doing this thing, and hopefully I can find out, you know, where it's coming from. But I also see a couple other things. There's a grommet on the valve cover, the rubber one that the PCV valve goes into, and it seems to be letting a little steam past it. So I'm gonna replace a couple of those things and see what that does. I really don't know right now, you know, but it's still running fine, still dries and everything like that. But there's a lot of stuff on that passenger side that's very hard to get to, so I'm gonna have to try to see if I can go and grab me a different type of light so I can look underneath there. But that's it for today. Just showing y'all a couple of things you need to know before getting in your low, you dig? So, rain, sleet, hell, snow, shine, nothing. No one stops the grind. Not even the haters on the sidelines. I'm Mr. Everything, bringing y'all low riders and horsepower, you dig? Till the next time, I'm out.